it's all just a symptom of being human.
Welcome to MSP Kingdom podcast. I'm Bobby.
I'm Chad.
And we're excited to talk about some wonderful MSP topics today and just everything in general going on in the space. And again, this is for MSPs, IT services out there to be able to, hopefully in an entertaining way, take some things that will help you in your business, in your life, stuff like that. We don't want any fluff. We want to celebrate good vendors. We want to kill the bad vendors somehow. And hopefully we, again, do it all with a little bit of entertainment. So first thing, before we get on to our topic today, I was thinking, Chad, just in general, conferences. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to really talk about that in a way that, I don't want to alienate people or anything like that. But what do you think about conferences? There is right now currently 3,200,000 different conferences every year you can go to in the MSP space.
There are more than you could ever keep track of. And more conferences that weren't for MSPs that now try to cater to MSPs, bring them in. Absolutely.
You've got ConnectWise at IT Nation. Kaseya has, DattoCon, is that right? I think that's what,
Yep.
All these different conferences and trainings and stuff, I guess part of it is our own experience, right? We've never really got into conferences. We went to some, I've been to some.
Yeah.
But, these conferences, for me, it's like, how do you really succeed as an MSP? And it's you have to become so client-centric, so client-focused, and also your team. And I don't know if any of these conferences drive you more towards that.
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of conference information. I've been a MSP service manager who is given new marching orders after the owner comes back from a conference. And trying to mesh that with what our customers actually wanted and what we're actually saying.
And what's reality.
Yeah,
right?
There can be a disconnect sometimes. And of course, whether the conference is put on by a vendor or it's vendor agnostic and then sponsored by vendors.
Yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't call them MSP conferences. We should call them vendor conferences.
Yeah.
That's what we should call them. And
well,
I think
I never
mindset,
thought about
you
that.
might,
That's
might get more
actually
out
really
of it
true.
if you just keep that in mind.
Yeah, let's be straight, right? Mm-hmm. Vendor conferences.
And I love learning about new products.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, there's lots of great products, useful stuff, but just, something to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know. I just always think, for me, it's like, first of all, the way my mind works sometimes, if I'm walking behind you and you throw down 100 rice kernels, I'm probably gonna have to stop and pick them all up. So not being able to get to all the conferences, I'm like, and there's too many and this and that. I don't know. I think maybe we'll probably go into that more throughout the years, really, and pick ones that really are good, because I don't think anyone out there is being real or subjective. Far too many vendors are just totally shaking in their boots and scared of, Kaseya and ConnectWise. I don't want to say anything wrong there because they either want to be bought up or whatever. I mean, it's a just stupid, love fest with those companies and things. But that doesn't necessarily serve the MSP industry at all. But yeah, well, I think we'll go into more of that.
Yeah, it's one interesting thing about conferences in general, not just specifically MSP conferences. I'm kind of a gamer. A lot of IT guys are gamers, right? And back in the day, E3 was the big video game conference.
Yeah.
Once a year, there was one.
Yeah.
Video gaming is a huge industry.
Yeah.
Huge. There was one conference, and do you know how many there are now?
How many?
0. Because E3 died.
Right.
So so sometimes I do wonder, like, how does the MSP conference number keep going up?
Yeah.
When you've got CES.
Yeah.
Which is the major consumer electronics expo. It's the one conference for consumer electronics worldwide, huge industry. And there's a bunch of other like niche conferences.
Yeah.
But how come it seems like you just said, as an MSP, you're thinking, man, I got to go to these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 conferences this year.
Right.
It seems like overkill.
Right. Absolutely. So, I'll say a couple though that, and then we'll get into our topic today, but a couple that I have liked recently. I went to PAX 8 Beyond. That was a really good conference. It was good.
What made it good for you compared to others?
Yeah, I think it was that, I, at least as far as I could tell, there wasn't a lot of pay to play. There could have been, but I couldn't see it as well as the other ones. So the other conferences I've been to, and quite a few, and not quite a few, so a lot. It's pay to play, right? You get these vendors, depending on how much money they spent and what sponsor level they are and stuff. They're getting awards for that and all that. It's just total BS. It's just ridiculous. And the pay to play thing is just, it's garbage. And so that whole turn, and again, so yeah, I've not liked any of those. You're going to these classes that are boring and these breakout sessions, and then you get these vendors on stage or just totally spewing information that maybe you want to hear about a product for 5 minutes, but not longer than that, and it doesn't really help. So, but that one, it seemed like there was good sessions, good information, good vibe. Of course, huge vendor hall, which is fine, that kind of stuff. I did like that one. I don't know. We'll see. You're going to it in 25.
Yep.
We'll see what you think, and we'll kind of go from there. It's huge now. The other one I recently went. It was the first conference. It was numero uno, ScaleCon.
Oh yeah. I
thought that was amazing. Tech Tribe and MSP Camp, and no pay to play there. I thought it was great. That one I really liked. Definitely going to the next one. But, I don't know. Sometimes these conferences, I don't know. There's just a lot of things sometimes in the MSP industry space where it's just annoying,
Yeah, and I think, you hit something on the head there with the pay to play a little bit. Maybe that's why we have so many conferences, because different vendors and vendor stacks, they're not willing to be part of one big neutral playing field. They all kind of a little more incentivized to have their own playing fields.
Yeah.
And so we do get those. But of course, PAX 8's a great, kind of a neutral marketplace.
Yeah.
So I could see why that might be good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. So today we're going to talk about what is your thing?
I'm surprised you did it. Yeah.
I did it. What is your thing? So what do we mean by that? Like, so you got, MSP, managed service provider, IT service, right? You got all these things out there.
Yep.
Copier printer. Maybe you're a copier printer company first, and then you decided, hey, let's get into that IT space,
Right.
or let's get into the phone space. You have phones.
You were a software dev.
Yeah.
We see that.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got, in cybersecurity now, all these things. You got all these different things. And what do you do? What is your approach out there? It's definitely changing.
Yep.
I say all the time, and I've said it for years and years, that for us, we always were like, hey, can everyone stay in their lane? Can everyone just be really good at what you're doing and stay in your lane? Let's all work together for the benefit of the client, to give them this great experience, that kind of thing. but we're going to get into each one and talk about it and kind of where it's at today. So what's your thoughts on that, Chad?
Yeah, I've been surprised as we talk to more and more MSPs, people who call themselves MSPs, just how diverse the space is, more diverse than I realized.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you have people coming from every angle. You have not just the size of the MSPs, but what they consider part of their service offering.
Yeah.
It's very, very diverse. And so it's good to talk about that whole scope, and then also talk about what does it really mean to be an MSP, and what should you kind of keep in your mind as you figure out what services you're going to add or exclude, the core principles that keep people coming and buying from you.
Yeah. Yes. And a couple things as we talk through this, we created our MSP, and also too, we have a software product in Zest. It's a PSA, and all these things. And you're right, as we've talked to now hundreds and hundreds of different MSPs, it definitely opened our eyes to the different ways and different flavors and things out there, and gives us a deeper perspective on that. I do want to say, and we'll touch on it more probably as well. It's like service is a lost art. It's just a lost art out there. The whole notion of you gotta give a lot to get, that kind of thing. Yep. However, having said that, service is a lost art, and you got to give a lot to get. Having said all that, I did come across. It was a forum I came across. I think it was in the form of a question they were asking people out there. Actually, it was Paul Green. Paul Green had on his LinkedIn. He had a question out there. I liked it, but I haven't responded yet. And hopefully we'll be on Paul Green's podcast soon. Hopefully, he's phenomenal. Paul Green's absolutely one of the best ever. So he had a question on there. Would you go do a one-off project for a potential client, basically? Would you do a one-off project and then hope that one-off project maybe gets you in there, that kind of thing? And I read it and I thought, wow, it's interesting, because it was some people are saying absolutely, absolutely, you would do that. You would do that, and then that would be part of your sales process to get in and do it, and then maybe turn them into a client that's a monthly recurring client. But what's interesting about that is I thought, well, we would have said no.
We would have.
The way that we did it and was highly successful was we would have said no, because in our travels, those never turned into a monthly recurring customer. There was just something about doing the one-off, and they're like, okay, we don't need you anymore. It's a mentality. Those type of generally, in our experience, those type of organizations that are asking for a one-off project, they nothing in their mind that you're going to do more than that. It almost would confuse them. They'd be baffled.
That's true. That's why they're
baffled of why you're asking.
That's why they're asking in the first place, because they don't have the concept that IT is important enough to have regular help that can then do the big picture things. But the other thing too is a lot of times those projects that you're getting asked to help with, they're things that shouldn't exist. They only exist because there's not regular IT help. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, we need you to do X, Y, Z. And like, well, X and Y only exist because you've been ignoring it and not putting any attention into it. So we didn't find those to be good matches. Yeah.
So I want to start off here. There's no right or wrong with this. It's just a starting place. So, MSP or IT service, traditional kind of start.
Yeah.
You're doing IT services. You're not doing necessarily copiers or printers or phones or cybersecurity. Just doing IT services. Taking care of the network. Procurement, that kind of thing. It's recurring, monthly recurring.
Well, maybe not even
stuff.
Procurement.
Maybe not. Yeah, but that's maybe a start. Maybe not. That's maybe a start. You do that. And I think back in the day, because you and I have been doing this forever, there wasn't necessarily gaps from that. But now what you and I are seeing, and not just recently, last few years, because service is a lost art, you're seeing gaps, and then the what we feel is the center stage or the main character in the story is the IT service over and above phones, copier service, and even cybersecurity. Kind of the main character.
It is
the IT service.
Yeah, and it's the missing link that if you don't have it, businesses typically they're gonna have a bad time with everything else.
Right.
And that was great for us as we grew. Because whenever a business understood that, when that understanding came, either because they had an IT provider already that wasn't getting what they needed done, or they realized they needed one, then you get to be the most important hero in that business's life for a while, right? You're putting out so many fires, you're doing so many good things that they didn't have a way to get done,
right?
That it's great. It's great to be the MSP and be that core piece.
Yeah.
But then you do the core stuff, and if you're not prepared, that customer still may not be happy because they expected you to do things that a lot of MSPs don't do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then some of the gaps that start to occur, that we've seen is, if you have problems with your phones, if the client's having problems with their phones or even with their copier printers, or, maybe they've talked to somebody with cybersecurity, but you get the list of the to-dos.
Right.
You are now starting to take care of these things, and you're not really getting paid for it, right?
Yeah, that's the risk. So when we were pretty all-inclusive when we started our MSP, and it was very good competitive advantage. We had a lot of things listed, like procurement, right?
Yeah.
We tell the customer, hey, buy from us, not because we're going to make any money, but because it's part of us taking care of you.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to be very transparent. We're not upcharging a ton. We're not making it hard. We're actually making it easier.
Yeah.
We would say vendor management. We'll yell at your IT provider for you when they're giving you the runaround. You don't have to call them. All these things we included.
Yeah.
But then we realized we're also including things we didn't expect to include.
Right.
We're changing the settings on the printers constantly, even
right.
though they have a managed printer company.
Yes.
We're troubleshooting the VoIP phones. We don't get paid for the VoIP phones, but we're troubleshooting them.
And can we say that it is ridiculous, the drop-off, the level of service from, VoIP phone providers, copier printer.
Absolutely.
Even with cybersecurity, sometimes it's like you as an MSP, you get the list, you get the to-do list. The level of service just has tanked.
Absolutely.
And, and so I think that that we're at the place now where we've come to that place and it's something that we transitioned to as well, that we started doing the copier printers and the phones and the cybersecurity and that, because now we could offer that service experience to the client.
Yep.
Because that's really what's it about. It's not technology. You're not selling technology. You're not selling zeros and ones. You are selling service, and so now we could we could offer that full package to them. It's just interesting, and I don't know. I think out there, everyone needs to think about that. If you're not doing those things, you better start thinking about it doing it.
You only have two choices. You're the MSP. You're doing all this work. You're trying to, like you said, give service, right? You are a service organization who deals in the realm of technology, but your customers come to you because they trust you.
Yeah.
And when they come to you and say, please help me with this, and it's something that you don't make any money off of helping them with.
Yeah.
You can either say no, or you can figure out how to do it and make money off of it.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you say no, some of your competitors, we ran into that.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
going to say, "Wow, we can do that."
Yeah.
And by the way, whether they can or not. I mean, we ran into situations where it was just starting back then, right?
Yeah.
But the copier printer people come in and say, "Oh, we do phones, we do IT,
Yeah.
we do everything your heart desires," and they don't. They're terrible at it. But if you've been telling your customer no, and now another company is telling them yes, that might sound pretty appealing to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would contend it's a much better place. I think you're better coming from the IT service or that's your main. That's where you've started, and then adding, copier, printer, phones, that kind of stuff. I think you're a better, stronger organization.
Absolutely.
Than like if you were a copier, printer company, and then you added, IT and all the other stuff.
Or a phone company.
Yeah, or a phone company. We do phones, and then you start doing the other stuff. In our travels, we saw those other organizations as pretty weak.
Yeah,
pretty weak. In fact, we saw them as sales organizations and not service organizations.
Right.
And
right. That is a business model. It's a different business model. Even though there's a service element, it's more transactional.
Yeah.
The businesses are built around that. And if you are a telecom provider, if you are a printer company and you're looking to get into the MSP space, our recommendation would be don't. If you want to have a business like that, start a different branch, buy an existing MSP, do it separately.
Yeah.
You can still, I understand there's this crossover element people want to do.
Yeah.
But if you just go in and say, I've got people who take care of printers, I'll add some people who take care of computers, we'll run it all the same.
Yeah.
We have seen that crash and burn so many times.
Yeah.
But that said, there is a powerful sales message.
Yes. Absolutely.
A sales message of we can do it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think right now the biggest gap out there is cybersecurity. It's a huge gap that needs to be filled. You have SMBs that more and more need SOC 2. They have
CMMC is looming.
Yep. Insurance audits. They have all these type of things. Even PCI compliance. All this stuff has gotten much more robust and complicated and needed, where they have to do it. And then you have high trust, all this stuff. But you there's this gap here, and so small to medium businesses a lot of times will go to these cybersecurity experts or companies, stuff like that, and they will work with them, but then somebody has to do these things, has to do the recommendations and the stuff and the work and all that, right? And who does that? And it's like, oh, well, your IT service or your MSP or something, they have to do that. But there's this gap there, and how do you build all of that into your monthly recurring model, take care of it for your customer? Again, I think that's the biggest gap right now. We tried to work with different companies and to be partners and to kind of bridge that gap, but they have such a consulting mindset and approach. I think that when they're working with enterprise level customers, not SMBs, their consulting approach is just fine. But for SMBs, it doesn't work. It's too much money. It doesn't flow well, even though it's happening right now. And it's happening because there's, again, this gap that needs to be shored up. And so I would say that's, something that MSPs out there need to think of and start looking at. And I'm not talking about MSSP or just becoming an MSP or just, flipping a switch and doing that. Like that was, a few years ago. The discussion is different now. And even the whole MSSP thing, that's still murky.
Yeah. I've talked with MSPs who partner with MSSPs and say it's great, but we didn't have that experience.
Right.
In our marketplace, there was not a genuine MSSP that would have made sense to work with.
Right.
There were, like you said, security consultants, and though they didn't mesh well with our delivery model.
Yeah.
And then these days, the marketplace is becoming full of products that enable IT-minded providers, MSPs, to start to do a lot more than they could in the past.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many great vendors supporting MSPs doing more. Big shout out to Ray, OIT.
Yeah.
We utilize them to build a fantastic VoIP product.
Yeah.
Off of their service.
Absolutely.
And
OIT
those were real
is
game
amazing.
changers. I mean,
yeah.
I want to harken back to that for a minute.
Yeah.
You remember what we were dealing with with VoIP phones for our customers?
Oh my goodness. Just horrendous. We would refer out these different VoIP providers to our customers, and then they'd get horrendous service and problems, and no local
support at all.
No local support. Nothing.
Even the local companies
come right back on us.
Even the local providers we tried to work with.
That's true.
Ended up, we're local for sales.
Yeah.
We have no service people locally.
Yeah, it's a mindset of that service. And what is wonderful is the minute we created our own VoIP brand,
right,
and started rolling with that, wow. I mean, not only did customers love the service and love it, and I think the secret to VoIP actually is local. I think if you have a provider, if you're a SMB out there, like if you find a local VoIP provider, that's a big win.
Yep.
And so we saw, but what we saw tickets decrease probably by 90%. It was huge. Dramatic.
Yeah, and to have, we found out, like you said, we were doing it anyway. We were constantly troubleshooting other people's VoIP systems that we weren't paid a dime for, and doing all the hard work. Mm-hmm. And I remember kind of a breaking point for me. I just remember troubleshooting a VoIP issue for a customer, and they showed me the report that the VoIP provider had given.
Yeah.
The VoIP provider, they tested and they said, "Oh man, your internet is garbage.
Right.
Total IT problem. Call your IT people. Has nothing to do with our service."
Yeah.
Because they were having persistent, widespread issues with their service.
Yeah.
And I looked at the report, and it had a bunch of screenshots, and then I checked the machine and I checked the time, and they did this test on a laptop on Wi-Fi at the edge of the building. Had nothing to do with anything.
Ridiculous.
But the VoIP providers, that they didn't care. It was pass the buck, get it off our plate.
Right.
And so our customers just had no good service. And once we took it over, we controlled the whole stack. We knew we vetted every customer's network before. Well, we vetted them as part of our IT service, and then we scoped everything. Everything was smooth, very few tickets. Everybody's happy.
Yep.
And we didn't want to do VoIP.
Yep.
And it was work to get going.
Yep.
But once we did it, I think we had half of our customers on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was just easy.
Yeah. And, copier printers, if you're an MSP out there that's not doing copier printers, you should think about it. There's some options that you can look at. And again, we, stories around that. We had a client that she calls us and says, school year's about to start and I'm having trouble. And I reached out to the print company, and they said, "No, we can't help you. I guess we could come out for a large fee. I don't remember exactly, but it was a lot of money."
Yeah.
And so we went and fixed it. And again, we started to see those problems where they were doing less and less,
Absolutely.
And they are also trying to absolutely unethical, immoral. They were also trying to throw in hey, well, we'll help you if you get our IT service.
Oh,
we'll help you if you get ours. And it's just
Scan to email
BS.
stopped working because of a security change on the provider's end.
Yep.
The whole thing was set up originally by the print vendor.
Yep.
And they said, we're not going to look at it because you're not on our IT.
Yeah.
You have to be on our IT for you to scan the email.
Service is a lost art. It's just, so yeah, again, so much better when you can do that yourself.
Yeah. And so the big picture, you're doing the IT service. You are, the old industry term, trusted advisor.
Yes.
Your customers are coming to you.
Yeah.
And anytime you find yourself having to say no, you should figure out a way where you don't have to. Now, you don't always have to do it yourself.
Totally
One
agree.
thing that we never jumped into was network cabling.
Yeah, network cabling. We had great partners for that.
Great partners. We know some MSPs do that.
Yeah.
They're equipped for it. They have the background. Great. That's another thing you can do. But, you have to find a partner if you're not going to do it yourself. You can't throw them out to the breeze.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they talk to somebody. Actually, I remember a client we got.
Yep.
And they were very upset with the previous provider. And when they were going through their contract stuff, they told the previous provider, we are only leaving you because you told us you couldn't do this. That's how we ended up talking to the new IT people.
Right.
Right? Like they were literally driven into our arms by the continued responses of, we don't do that, we don't do that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to put your customers in the position.
No.
So the big four, IT services is what you're doing if you're an MSP.
Yep.
But be ready with a solution when your customer needs new phones.
Yep.
Needs new eFax.
Yep. Copier printers. Yep.
Needs new copiers and printers.
Yep.
And needs more cybersecurity. And that's the big one lately.
I think that's the big one.
Compliances are really starting to heat up.
Yep. And I don't care, MSSP, whatever you call yourself, you're going to have to start providing cybersecurity.
You have to do it somehow.
Yeah.
And if you can't do it yourself, if you are a one-man shop, if you're a startup, if you have 3 people and you're not prepared to build your own capability, you have got to find partners.
Yeah.
And partners who won't steal your customers.
Well, that's what I was going to say about the network cabling. What worked so beautiful was we found partners who that's all they did, and they did a great job, and clients loved it and all that kind of stuff, but there was no threat of them stealing clients, any of that kind of stuff. And so and I always throw the customer client word around all the time, but I try to say client because a customer is by definition just a one-time.
It's a transaction.
So I try to say client, but I have back and forth all the time. But yeah, you don't want them stealing them, and so again, that's where back in the day, back in the day, it all kind of worked together, kind of beautiful. I remember having a lot of cooperation, but now, the cooperation's gone. For me, and so you're going to have to do these things.
Yeah, I remember the moment when the last managed print company in our market added IT services to the sides of their vehicles.
Yep.
Going, well, that's it. There's literally not a managed print company that will not, one way or the other, try to get our customer.
That's right.
Who do we recommend? Who do we try to build relationships with?
Yep.
And that's when we knew, well, we're going to have to figure out how to do it ourselves.
Absolutely.
And of course, on day one, were we perfect at printers? Of course not.
Right.
But the thing that we brought, the thing that you bring as an MSP, you may not have all the wonderful expertise of printers that the managed print companies do.
Yeah.
But IT is a general skill set, and you're going to get there a lot quicker than the managed print companies are going to get around general IT and service delivery.
Totally agree.
So you're a lot better starting as the MSP going the other way.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Jump in there and do it. Jump in there and get going on these things. Phones, copier printer, cybersecurity. Jump in there. Even with phones, I remember a funny story where a very large customer and there was a phone company that we actually really liked. We never had trouble when we had clients that were using them. We didn't have trouble, so we thought
we were good.
Woo! And but they had to do it. They started doing IT services.
Yep.
And one of our bigger customers said, "Oh yeah, well we also got we got this quote from this phone services," and we're like, "Oh great, they're good, you know." Yeah, but they also pitch us IT. And I said, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, hey, you know what? Can I get back to you? Can we give you a quote on phones too? Let me get back to you." And of course, we got the deal.
Of course, because we did such a great job on the IT, which you deal with every day.
Yeah.
I mean, if your customer has the best phone company in the world, then they very rarely communicate with them.
Yeah.
Where they're working with you every single day.
Yeah.
So the minute that they have an issue, they're going to come to you and they're going to want a solution. But I remember that was funny because we weren't at that point in a rush, in a hurry to try to pitch that customer phone services. And then there you go. You forced your hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we've covered some good stuff. I wanted to start adding in to these podcasts two questions for you and I. And you've had no prep on this.
None at all.
Because, well, someday we'll have prep. But
nah, it's freewheeling.
No prep. Two questions. One thing you would like to see go away, and one thing you would hope stays.
Okay.
And it really can be anything.
In our industry.
Yeah, one thing to go away, and no, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be, it could be anything.
Oh.
Yeah, one thing go away, one thing to stay. I'll go first. So one thing I hope to stay is the phrase graveyard shift. I love it. I think it's so cool. I love it. Like graveyard shift. That's awesome.
That is
I went by a sign.
Are you concerned about that?
Well, in our world today, you have to be concerned about every word, right? Mm-hmm. You don't know what's going to stay or go.
That is true.
So I go past a sign the other day and it says, they're hiring for graveyard shift. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I remember that. And I thought, I hope somehow that doesn't go away. That they're like, hey, you can't call it that anymore. It's kind of a negative.
Maybe, yeah.
It's a negative, no, I think it's cool. Like you got to keep.
Actually, that's funny because I do remember, I think graveyard shift is not, maybe this would be a great thing if we get feedback right from people listening. I don't know that that's a nationwide term.
Oh,
when I worked in Ohio and Cincinnati,
okay,
I don't remember hearing graveyard shift. I heard second shift and third shift.
Okay,
because places where there's a lot of industry, there's a third shift also.
Yeah.
So then,
well, I hope it doesn't go away. I like the term
graveyard. Okay.
One thing that I hope does go away is Sunny Delight vodka.
Oh, whoa!
Because Sunny Delight was this terrible product in the 80s. I'm an 80s child.
Yep.
So I have fond memories of certain products like Sunny Delight. Mm-hmm. But now we know these products are terrible for you, right? They're the things in that Sunny Delight is not good for you, right?
I think there was the notion that fruit juice was good for you because it's fruit.
Yes.
And while that one's already tenuous.
Oh yeah.
But when you are a fruit-like drink substance,
yes.
Yeah, I think that
and I think the 80s was the time when these products exploded that were ultra processed, and I think they just 80s. Well, not explode. 80s was like the start of it, right? You've got your 90s, TV dinners.
Remember Yahoo?
Yeah, I remember Yahoo. I get them with a workout.
I drank a Yahoo, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. It was a nostalgic thing.
Yeah.
It tasted like puddle water. It was disgusting.
I was a fan of Yahoo.
Yeah.
So but I went into the store a little while ago and I saw Sunny Delight, Sunny D vodka. I thought they're definitely trying to tap in on my generation.
They
now.
are. Yeah, they're trying to hit it.
They got us as kids.
I'm surprised
they're trying to get us as adults.
Right. In a different market, it's Thang.
Yeah.
Which was,
So there you go. Something you'd like to see stay, something that you'd like to see go.
Okay. Well, there's one thing I want to see stay that I am worried about.
Okay.
I want to see consumer computer hardware and computer chips stay. Because AMD and Intel put out new CPUs in the last couple months. Intel, they have a whole brand new CPUs that they will not sell. They will sell maybe a few tens of thousands. It's almost apocalyptic. People are the industry is not asking for these, and the kind of PC hobbyist market's in a big decline. But concerningly, Intel, NVIDIA, and especially AMD, and especially NVIDIA, they make way too much money now off of AI and data centers and the new usage of compute that they're not putting R&D and stuff into the things that made me excited about computers when I started building computers and doing things. So I hope that doesn't go away. I hope we see some innovation. I hope, I don't know. Maybe it just needs to catch on more as a hobby. Build your own computer.
Right.
Build your own computer.
Okay. What's that stay? What would you like to see go?
Something.
And maybe your stuff can be more technical. Mine can be more social type of thing. Anyways, but
something I want to see go. I want to see anti-spam as a service go.
Okay.
I want to see it
now
gone.
We're talking. We're cooking now.
I don't want to hear about we added anti-spam.
Right.
We're over it. People aren't hosting their own email servers. Let Microsoft and Google handle it.
Yes.
Innovate on anti-phishing. Innovate on protections for emerging threats with AI. What I want is the product that looks at the email that I've received and gives it a little grade to let me know if I'm just getting Chat GPT regurgitation. Right. I want to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just stop with the spam. I'm over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's just me, but
I like it.
I just saw.
I like it. I think that's what we'll do. Yeah, I like it. I think we'll do that in the future. You'll bring the tech.
Okay.
For this question, and I'll bring all the goofy stuff.
Sounds good.
And we'll go from there. One thing I could have said was that I don't want to see CompTIA.
Yes.
Go. I want it always to be independent and non-for-profit.
Oh, I haven't heard. Is there something?
Oh yeah,
going on with it?
PE, private equity's buying them. So certifications, the company. It's not good.
It's scary.
It's gonna. Yeah, there you go. But I didn't say that one because it's already done. It's already been.
We've been seeing behind the curtain. In our lives about private equity.
Yep.
And just what that means, and it can be bad.
Yeah, there you go. All right, MSP Kingdom.
Another one on the books.
Shake and bake.